Hey there, and welcome to GamePoints, our weekly get-together. We talk about the last week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is David Smith. Say hey, David.
Hey, hey.
Tonight, we're going to talk about the abortion that is Metal Gear Survive.
Ugh.
Some news about Gawker getting bought out, as well as rumored PlayStation 4 specs. But before we get into that, I always like to know what you did over the weekend, David. Did you do anything interesting? Did you play anything fun? Did you see any
Yeah,
sights
I
worth
played a
mentioning?
very fun and enjoyable game that has a great storyline called No Man's
No, I was about
Sky.
to say it's clearly not No Man's Sky then, because that is none of those.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Incorrect.
No, it's great. All those nerds saying that there's no story and there's nothing to do in No Man's Sky, it's because you don't like reading. That's why.
Yeah, admittedly, there is a story to it, and it is kind of interesting. It deals with like the creation of the universe and everything, if I recall, right?
Well, I went the other way.
Oh,
So there's
okay.
this whole thing called Atlas, right? And Atlas is doing its whole crazy shit and trying to get you to follow it. Very beginning of the game, I said no. I don't like shiny red orbs, and I'm going to go do some other shit. So I met some sweet dudes out in space, and they showed me how to travel in black holes, and I'm up to no good on the edge of the universe.
Sounds like yeah. See, there is some good stuff to No Man's Sky. It's just
Narrative is what you make of it, and
yeah, I
that's
was
how you
bored
play
to tears with
survival
it, so
games.
there we are.
That's because you don't
So
have no narratives.
yeah, fair enough. If you're watching us live, as always, feel free to join in the chat. We do try to answer you whenever we can with questions you might have. Keep in mind the delay. Sometimes we do move topics before the question gets answered. Sorry, we try to get to everyone. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a like, subscribe, all that stuff down below, and it should notify you when new videos go up. Also, feel free to visit Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. But if there's nothing else, we're going to go ahead and get right into it with the first story of the night, and that is Gawker has been bought by Univision.
Correct.
Now, for
Now,
those,
do you want to just go right into the conversation of what happened, or do you want to go into the conversation of why it happened?
I want to fill in the gaps here of what led to this. So, David, why don't you tell us why Gawker had to sell to begin with?
Well, turns
Well,
out Gawker.
first of all, let's describe what Gawker is to begin with and why it's relevant to GamePoints.
Okay, Gawker owns a whole bunch of media-based websites, which are more or less tabloid magazines on the internet, most of which pull a lot of articles and information directly from Reddit, which is why some people don't like them so much. But Gawker owns a whole series of websites. They run Kotaku, for one, which is
Which
a
is
game
the
related.
reason why it's relevant to the conversation with us.
But they have like Jalopnik, which is a car channel or whatever you want to call it. They have a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of stuff is also pop culture related, like news and Hollywood and all that other crap. So you can compare them to like
Yeah,
BuzzFeed
they also
and
do like Deadspin, Jezebel. Do they have IO9 still? I don't know if IO9 even exists anymore, to be quite
I
honest with you.
believe I believe IO9 is still in their property list. But as Zug Warrior in chat so eloquently mentions, part of the thing is that Gawker is the one that released the Hulk Hogan sex tape.
And not just the Hulk Hogan sex tape. They have a very long history of just doing horrible, trashy things to people, releasing sex tapes without people's permission, while the next day saying that releasing Jennifer Lawrence's nudes is equivalent to rape. Uh, so a lot of hypocrisy
They're like
there.
the equivalent of TMZ with less journalistic integrity.
They that's saying something. They do things like just out CEOs for no reason, out private citizens for no reason. You can make the case that if it's like a politician who has a very anti-gay agenda, that outing him is newsworthy. But they will just find some poor son of a bitch who has nothing to do with a politics or anything even remotely public life and do horrible things. And anyways, Gawker got sued by Hulk Hogan because of his sex tape and ended up having to sell to Univision. We do have Fisher3309 asking a question chat. Go ahead, Fisher, ask it, and we'll try to answer if it's relevant. So yeah, Gawker was forced to go on sale because I believe the Hulk Hogan sex tape demanded that Gawker pay him like $115 million, of which Gawker, I think, only made... Let me see if I can bring up the article here. By the way, this is via recode.net. If you want to go take a look at them, I'll have the links down at the bottom eventually. 90... no, that's how much was really mentioned. Well, I can't find how much they were, but long story short, the article says this. Univision has won the auction for Gawker Media. The TV network and digital publisher has agreed to pay $135 million for the Bankwork blog network. That is 10 to 20 million above what Hulk Hogan was awarded in the lawsuit. Univision's offer will encompass all 7 Gawker's media sites, including Gawker.com. And that's all the Kotaku and Jezebel and all that other good stuff. It is worthy to note that there were only 2 bidders for Gawker, and that is Ziff Davis, owners of IGN, and, well, Univision, and Univision won. The fact that there were only 2 bidders for a media site with the name of Gawker, to me, shows how toxic the name Gawker is right now.
Yeah, that's totally fair. No one really wants this stuff. I think it's funny because the way Ziff Davis went about it is they had that, like, $90 million... I don't know what the hell you call it, like a backing fund or something, where it's like, hey, we're going to give you $90 million. If no one else tries to pay you any money, we're just going to give you this much. But if it goes into a bidding war, we don't care. We're going to give you $90 million. That's it.
Yeah, it's... I want to say it's a shame what happened to Gawker, but they will not be missed. Gawker itself was a fucking terrible site. Now, the reason why we're talking about it on a gaming podcast is because of Kotaku. I have mixed feelings for Kotaku, to say the least. I love some of the writers. I think people like Jason Schreier, for example, love or hate his politics. I tend to be laughably opposed to what he thinks politically, but that man does some good journalism, and by journalism, I mean like uncovering leaks. He's got sources and people who report to him about shit that goes on there. And then you have other people there who write just horrible hit pieces on other people. That said, I'm kind of happy to see Kotaku writing on home. Gawker.com itself is fucked. That blog shut down today, I believe was their last day. But the places like Deadspin, Jezebel, Kotaku, I'm fine with them coming in there. I could care less. Like I said, politically, I think that they are on the worst side of the gaming journalism sites out there. I think they do actually use clickbait headlines and deliberately stir up controversy to get clicks. I know clickbait's like an overused term and all that, but I think Kotaku is one of the reasons why that term exists. That said, the more opinions we have out there, even if they're opinions I disagree with, the better overall for everyone.
Sure. I get most of my computer backgrounds from Jalopnik because I like cars. That's about it.
Bad Brad, welcome to the chat. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the show. But yeah, so it's not that these other sites are going away anywhere. So the people over at the subreddit Kotaku in Action are like dancing on the grave of Gawker and everything like that. Yeah, okay, sure. I get that. They're a terrible site. They needed to go. But you're not getting rid of Kotaku. They're sticking around and Univision owns them now. It'll be interesting to see if they do eventually close it or they fold it into somewhere else or the editorial direction completely shifts. But that's to be seen. We'll find out how that goes later on. Like I said, I have mixed feelings on them at best. I think they are some of the best investigative reporting out there, but also some of the absolute worst editorials out there. So it's going to be a fun time over at Kotaku.
That's a fair point. Now, speaking of things that are the absolute worst, let's talk about Konami.
Oh, Konami.
And how much I hate Konami.
Yeah, fuck Konami, as Jim Stoyan would say.
Post-Kojima Konami. We'll call it the PK era.
2016 PK. Or is this year 0? Is this Konami year 0?
This is I think it's year 1 PK.
So, in case you missed it being announced last week, Konami has decided to announce a new Metal Gear game. They're continuing the series. All right, we should all be excited, right? We all love Metal Gear. Sure, Metal Gear Solid 5 was unfinished and just kind of ended. But mechanically, it was the best of them all. We can agree on that, yes?
Yeah. It was the absolute best mechanical Metal Gear game.
So clearly, the next Metal Gear game has to be excellent. They've nailed the gameplay down. Finally, they just need to fine-tune the story. Any company can do that, right?
Yeah, sure. You just got to put something together.
Konami, being Konami, of course, decided to give us this. Metal Gear Survive. A 4-player cooperative shooter set in an alternate Metal Gear universe where you go online and fight zombies. Now, I don't know about you, David, but when I think of Metal Gear, I think about 4-player cooperative online action against zombies. That's makes perfect sense to me. That seems like
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing. Every time I play Metal Gear, I'm like, man, why isn't this Resident Evil?
This is clearly what Metal Gear has been evolving into since the first
Yeah.
one in
You know,
1980.
the sneaking around, the hiding in cardboard boxes, the trying to survive, the stealth killing enemies. That really trains you to mow down zombies with a large caliber automatic weapon.
As of earlier today, the IGN video of that trailer has 18,000 likes and 86,000 dislikes, so people are not happy.
Well, there's the whole thing that when the falling out happened with Konami and Kojima, rather, a lot of fans said, "Well, we're just going to follow Kojima because he's the reason we like your company in the first place. We followed him in the franchises that he produced. We weren't following Konami."
Now,
Besides
you
the
could
people
make
that
the
are
case,
super hardcore into PES, because I mean, Konami does have a couple of their own franchises.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of people that just would have hopped on the bandwagon as soon as Kojima left and followed him to wherever he went.
Agreed. Now, you can make the case that Metal Gear Solid is not just one, or Metal Gear as a franchise to say, is not just one man. And that's true. He himself actually didn't create the series. It was given to him way back when, and then someone else came up with the idea for it. He does have a massive team of story writers and animators and developers who produce these games. However,
a lot of whom left with him.
None of those people are at Konami anymore for the most part. And I have a theory as to why this game is being made.
Because Konami put all the money into the Fox engine. They're sitting on it. They have all the assets from MGS5 and the online variety. It's not that much work to shit out a zombie game, ask Call of Duty.
Or anything else. I mean, zombies are literally the fucking brown generic shooter of the modern age.
Yeah, they're thinking
they're a
like
dime a dozen now.
If there's a couple Metal Gear fans that buy this 4-player co-op zombie game, then they make money because they're probably putting almost nothing into this game.
Yeah, go to Steam Greenlight and you'll see a dozen other similar themed games for significantly cheaper. You're hitting the nail on the head though, David. They have the assets, but they don't have the talent to develop anything for it anymore, or at least develop anything original for it. So they're just like, all right, let's take these assets, and they essentially turned the Fox engine, and this pains me to say, the Fox engine to Konami is like Unity now.
Oof. Just churn something out with it.
Yeah, just make something.
It's upsetting because it looks so good, and there's so many things that can be done with it, but I'm sure they're going to be limited to using the same rigging, the same models, the same textures for the next couple of years until they switch completely to pachinko machines.
Yeah, they will use the Fox engine until it starts to actually show its age or doesn't make money for them anymore. They won't improve it. They won't sell it to anyone else. It's done. This great engine was built to die, essentially, along with all these reskin assets. You're going to see a variety of Metal Gear games come out that actually aren't really Metal Gear games, but just with the Metal Gear skin on them. So this 4-player co-op zombie survival game is one. I would expect you would see a Metal Gear walking simulator where you're just exploring Outer Haven as some kid or something like that, because they have to use that engine and assets somehow. You'll see a Metal Gear generic RPG for mobiles. You'll see the Farmville Metal Gear.
Just anything they can think of that works with that mechanic.
Yeah, you're going to see this engine and these assets reskinned and reused over and over and over again. Because let's face it, Konami has no more talent. They have all left and have been leaving for the past 5 to 6 years. Kojima was just kind of like the last man on the watch, and his watch has ended, as Jon Snow would say. But yeah, Metal Gear Survive should be out sometime next year. It looks absolutely atrocious. But hey, if you're looking for yet another 4-player co-op zombie survival game where the zombies have massive glowing rods sticking out of their heads as the unique flair to it, I guess Steam Greenlight isn't enough for you. If you want to pay $60 for a game you can find there for 10, sure, knock yourself out.
You want to give your money to a soulless corporation that shut down one of their best producers, mostly out of spite, then yeah, go for it. Feel free to do what you do.
But yeah, that's
But even if you really want this, even if you're the kind of asshole that's going to pick this up, least do us a favor. Don't fucking pre-order it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This game is going to be a train wreck. Just wait it out. Buy it on sale.
So, next story, no smooth transition. Rumors of the PlayStation 4 Slim seem to be legitimate. This is going to be via Polygon. The article states that from I'm losing my placer. I apologize. This is bad hosting me. But
Let's talk
essentially,
about it.
Polygon found a auction in the UK that was selling the PlayStation 4 Slim, and, well, that doesn't exist anymore at the moment. That auction has since been pulled, but pictures have come out, and it's, for the most part, pretty legit. The Polygon article goes on to say, the unit appears to be thinner and its edges are rounded, unlike the squared-off corners of the original design. The box says the console has a 500GB hard drive, and the only noticeable difference in hardware, save for its size, is the apparent removal of the PS4's optical port. Okay, cool. Whatever. I do have a picture of it right here compared to the PlayStation 4 itself. As you can see, it is thinner. It is just about as wide as it is, but not nearly as tall. One HDMI port it looks like instead of two, unless there's one over there. It's kind of hard to quite tell if this is a little bit blurry.
See, this one doesn't count for me because. So here's the thing: when a new PlayStation console is slimmed down, which has happened every console generation, I'm not looking for this slightly smaller little thing that's still a regular PS4. No, I'm looking for the PS4. And that is the word 4 spelled in lowercase. Much like the PS1 that happened, where it was a very, very tiny PS1 about the size of the CD-ROM. The PS.
I like that console, by the way.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then you had that super tiny PS2, the slim one that had the network card built into it. And then you got the slimmer PS3 that came out. So this one, it's just not that much of a change for me. So I get what it's for and I get the market, I guess. But it's weird to have this come out and it's not really that much of a space saver with the Neo right around the corner.
I think because we don't know the full details on this yet. We actually don't know the tech specs. Any video and this auction have all actually been pulled. So that kind of gives...
This is a Neo? That would be amazing.
That gives the credence that this is legitimate, that Sony is actually being so hardcore to go after these people and get the videos pulled. But we don't know what its price is going to be. My gut says $249. We'll find out September 7th when they have their conference in New York for sure. Cyanide, welcome to the chat, by the way. We always appreciate it. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm almost positive this is 100% real. It's still technically a rumor because Sony hasn't confirmed it yet, though. This is it. Let's face it. This is one of the things they're going to be announcing on the 7th. Estimated price? Do you have any guesses?
What's PS4 go for right now? $299. Besides the fact that it's almost impossible to find that one because you can only find it in a bundle currently.
Have you noticed that? I actually haven't looked in a while. My guess on this is $249 when it comes out. I don't know if the current price is $299 or $349. I think it's $349.
But I would like to point that out.
Let me stat boy this while you're
doing
that.
A price drop not too long ago that brought it down to $299. That's a thing that happened. Since then, I've never seen them by themselves. Never. Like if you go into like a Target or you go to Best Buy or you go to wherever, you'll always find like the Call of Duty Black Ops edition, or you'll find The Last of Us Remastered edition, or this or that PlayStation that all come out at $350. But it is damn hard to find the $300 one. I mean, I'm sure you can order it if you really want to. I just think it's funny that that's not what a lot of stores are stocking on the shelves.
Amazon has a PS4 500GB console, just the console itself, for $349. So I believe it's going for $349 right now.
See, that's whack because I was pretty positive they dropped it to $299.
They could have for a holiday season, but I wasn't sure if that was its official price or not. This is being sold directly from Sony. You can, of course, find them cheaper elsewhere. Yeah, so I think its MSRP is still $399. So $249 for a Slim. That seems like a hell of a drop, but with the Neo coming out around the corner, or at least going to be announced, I think they need to have at least a big price drop to separate the two.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is not for me.
Yeah, you're going to wait for the Neo.
There's a very specific group of people that this is applying to, and this is the waiters that haven't picked up a next-gen console yet, but don't really care about picking up something with a higher quality processor and whatever the hell else is coming out with the updated versions. These are for, I don't know. You see these in a lot of houses still, where it's the second release of the console. People are just picking up later. So that's when they get it.
Yeah, I mean, we're early adopters. We're kind of the hardcore people. Even the people who watch this show are. If you buy a console within the first year of its release, guess what? A lot of people don't. A lot of people won't buy that current generation console until when the next generation comes out. PlayStation 4 still sells. I'm not going to say decently well, but it still sells. People still buy them.
Dude,
So-
I'll give you a little tidbit. PS3 game, Mod Nation Racers, that game that's not Little Big Planet with carts, even though it kind of is Little Big Planet with go-karts, that still has an online community.
Yeah, so, I mean, there
So,
is a demand for stuff,
wait.
even if it's 3 or 4 years old.
For sure.
So with any luck, this will work out well for them. I'm sure that we will find out more September 7th, I believe, is when the PlayStation conference is supposed to happen.
Yeah,
That
I'm
is,
really excited that Sony wants to have something come out that's cheaper.
yeah,
you know,
because, they're
A lot of
jacking up the
times
price on something
do
else.
stuff where they'll make things more expensive, like PS Plus going up in price.
The PlayStation price is going up in price. This is directly from the PlayStation blog. Let me bring up their article right here. If it loads up, here we go. It's on their update for the free games for August 2016. Update. Starting on September 22nd, 2016, prices for the PlayStation Plus memberships will change from $59.99 for 12 months and $24.99 for 3 months. The plan will change to $11.99 in Canada and remain $99 in the US for 3 months. So that's for the monthly plan. Long story short, if you read all this, they talk about how they're jacking the price up by $10. It was $50 for a year. It's going up to 60 now, and they say that market demands and everything are increasing the rates. Now, this does bring it in line with Xbox Live. They kind of balance that price out now. I don't care. I'm not too upset about this. I feel I get more than $60 worth of crap from my PlayStation Plus subscription anyways. Price increases are never fun. No one really ever wants them, but...
You know what? Check it out. Netflix went up by $4 for a lot of people that weren't paying attention because they didn't announce anything. At least they announced something.
Yeah, they did kind of hide it in an update to a previous blog post, however, rather than making their own blog post, so that's a little underhanded.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that news people will talk about, like us. If you get your news from us,
Who does that?
God help
Who
you.
the hell gets their news from us?
Oh man, that's rough. I don't know what to do about that.
PlayStation 4 Plus, or PlayStation Plus rather, going up $10 to $60 in September. If I were you and you're really concerned about it, I would go to a GameStop and buy all those prepaid $50 cards for the next couple. Because you buy 2 or 3 $50 cards for the year worth of PlayStation Plus, and then you get 2 or 3 years of PlayStation Plus for $50 instead of $60. If you're that worried about $10 a year.
Oh, because you can buy it all right now.
Yeah. However, if Sony was smart, they would have already recalled all those, but we'll see.
I don't know. You get really into all this pricing and all this stuff to be all shady about pricing. It's like you're speaking German to me.
All right, I don't know where to go with that. I mean, I know what you're going for, but let's go ahead and just talk about the new Overwatch map that comes out.
No, that's when you're supposed to try and pronounce it.
Eichenwald.
Oh, you can't just know how to say German
I can't
words.
pronounce it.
Man, I was all ready for my Eichenwaldi and whatever. Let's talk about this new Overwatch map that's got deer antlers on the walls.
So Blizzard announced a new Overwatch map is coming probably very soon because they tend to have the turnaround of these real quick. It is Eichenwald. It is going to be an assault escort hybrid map set in an abandoned village on the outskirts of Stuttgart, Germany. And this is apparently the site of one of the most famous battles during the Omnet Crisis. It's very, well, I mean, take a look at it. It's very German themed. It is an abandoned city. That's kind of cool. It's got a lot of rubble to where it looks like shit did go down here. They did say it's one of the most famous battles during the Omnet Crisis. You see a bunch of Bastion husks everywhere. You see bombed out ruins everywhere. I get the feeling this is going to be a great map. It is an assault escort hybrid, so that is like King's Row or Mumbai, I believe, where you actually have to take the point and then push the cart.
It is one of the best kinds of map, is what we are saying.
Oh, those are your favorite maps?
Hell yeah, absolutely the most fun.
All right. I have no opinion on them. I kind of like all the maps on that. I don't have one that I really hate. So there's that. Cyanide is saying the map is available right now on the public test realm, so you can give it a shot. If it's on the PTR at the moment, then I would fully expect this to hit Daybreak. Hell, I'd even say as early as next week.
Yeah, that's totally possible. When Anna was released on the public test realm, she came out, I think, within a week or two.
Yeah,
So
no more than 2 weeks,
definitely...
so we'll see this very, very soon. Plus, their Lucio Ball event did just end, so they're going to need something to replace that. It could even be tonight. I don't know. Probably
Although
next
the
week.
coolest thing I've seen is I've heard a rumor that there's a... I haven't actually seen any photos of it, but I was reading a post saying that there is a Dark Souls reference in the new map.
Oh, really? I'll have to take a look at that.
Which
What's the reference?
Awesome.
Do you know what it is, or do you just know there's a Dark Souls reference in it?
I think there's a bonfire somewhere, like a sword on the ground on fire.
We'll have to take a look at it.
Which totally makes sense because it's in this big castle, so it looks cool.
If you look at that full trailer, which I didn't put up on here, but apparently there's like this giant suit of armor in this throne room, which looks very Dark Soulsy, so I can see that being legitimate.
Dark Soulsian, even.
Dark Soulsian. Dark Soulsy.
All right. How you doing on segues?
I'm going to let you take over. You're way
From one
better
franchise to another, let's talk about Electronic Arts. Man, who even calls them that anymore?
EA is not a franchise, though.
Well,
give you your moment to shine, and you fuck it up.
I only do segues natural. I can't just shit them out like you do. So, a while ago, in 2015... EA was very public about saying that they had no interest in doing remasters. A lot of companies were really big into the remastered, re-released editions of previous console generation games. There's a whole bunch of money to be found there. Like The Last of Us remaster was really big. And one of the things that everyone was waiting for was for EA to re-release Mass Effect. But at the time, they said, we have no reason to go back and re-release old games. We're focused on making new games, new content, bringing the power to the players. We're EA, and we're totally different. Yeah, no. They're going to remaster Mass Effect.
At least that is what they're hinting at. In an interview with Game Informer, let me go ahead and bring up the article right here. While speaking with Game Informer at Gamescom, Patrick Sutherland, the executive vice president for EA Studios, said the following about remasters. What's changed is that there is proof in the market that people want it. Maybe more than there was when we spoke. There was some that did it before, but I think there's even more clear evidence that this is something people really want. The honest answer is that we are absolutely actively looking at it. I cannot announce anything today, but you can expect us more likely to follow our fellow partners in Activision and other companies that have done this successfully. This was in an interview with Michael Futter, I believe. Yeah, Mike Fuddle. And the question asked that was given to was related to a Mass Effect remaster, which is why... Of all the games out there, this is probably the one that would be most likely to get a remaster from them. I'm fine with it. I love the Mass Effect trilogy. I love 1, 2, and 3. I think 3 gets a lot of unreasonable hate from the internet. Though I do understand why some people could be upset at it. I think that a lot of people just throw the baby out with the bathwater when talking about it. I would gladly play through all those again. In fact, I tend to play through that trilogy about once every year, so it would be cool to have a nice fresh coat of paint on there. David, you Mass Effect fan?
Not really, actually. As strange as that seems. I didn't really get super into the Mass Effect games. I only touched the first one for a little while, and I never played any of the rest.
Are you a Mr. Robot fan?
Dude, I'm a huge Mr. Robot fan.
Well, remember how last week we talked about Telltale Games might be making or publishing a Mr. Robot game? We weren't too sure which. There are a bunch of cryptic Twitter messages with them retweeting things from the official Evil Corp account called like E Corporation.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing.
Well, they're not making a game. They are publishing a game. So I believe I was right on that one.
The second half of that guess.
Here is Mr. Robot 1.51 Exfiltration. It is from Night School Studio, the award-winning creators of Oxenfree, which was an alright game that came out. Long story short, in Mr. Robot, you will use the eCorp messaging app to communicate in real time with characters from the show, making dialogue choices that directly affect how the story flows, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read you the actual PR speech here. It's essentially a game that you download, and it makes it look like it's an instant messenger, like think an iPhone text messaging service, for example. and you
But
play
you're in
it
the Mr.
by
Robot.
answering and sending texts. It's kind of like an alternate reality game that is for you and you alone. A single-player driven alternate reality game.
It sounds like the kind of thing that should have came out for free to tease an actual thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know the pricing on this or anything like that. Hell, it could be free. I didn't even look. Let me go back to that site there and see if I can't click on the wrong.
I'm a big Mr. Robot fan. I like that show a lot. It's pretty fantastic if you haven't taken a look at it. But I don't think I'm super down with playing an alternate reality text-based game. I'm not even gonna call it a video game. It's a text game. I don't
They
even know.
charge $3 for it, so for $3, that's fine.
I mean, if you're super into the universe and you're a hardcore Mr. Robot fan and you have to get every single thing you can, I'm willing to bet that this is going to have a whole lot of secrets that you'll learn about the universe and about what's going on in the world of Mr. Robot. But I'm not that hardcore.
Yeah, neither am I. It's. I haven't seen an episode of the show. It's on my list to watch, but even if I was a fan of it, like this could be like a Babylon 5 app, I would probably buy it actually. So never mind.
That's fair.
So David,
let's talk about things I'm more hardcore about.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say you like Mr. Robot, right?
Yeah.
You like Overwatch?
Yeah, I like Overwatch. Yeah,
what else do you like?
Dude, you know what I really like?
What do you love?
Dark Souls.
Some Dark Souls. Well, if you like Dark Souls 3, there's a good chance you might be getting some more soon. In a tweeted out last week from the official Dark Souls Twitter account, that's tweet a lot. No, come on. Do what I tell you. There we go. This is from the Dark Souls game Twitter account. Huge news on the way, folks. What is it, you ask? Well, you're going to have to wait to find out. And they have a picture of Dark Souls 3 Ashen Ones. A major announcement is forthcoming on August 24th. That is 2 days from now, from the moment we are recording this. This cannot be anything but DLC.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
it has to be. It can't be anything else that I can think of.
I'm down.
Yeah, same here.
Dark Souls 3 is a big improvement over 2. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that I hate 2, but 2 was not as good as 1.
And I think Dark Souls 3 actually beats 1.
3 feels more like a true sequel.
What's your opinion on Dark Souls 3 compared to 1? Do you like 1 better or do you like 3 better?
1 is in my top 5 favorite games of all time. So okay. 1 definitely wins. But 3, like I said, is a worthy successor. I feel it is the better sequel.
See, I think 2 aside, between 1 and 3, I think 3 is significantly superior because they made it a lot more like Bloodborne, which is still my favorite of the Souls games out there.
If you're just going for straight gameplay, I mean, I'll give you that 3 is very fun, but the story, the experiences, and just the amount of time I have in the first Dark Souls, just I can't lean away from it. It's too much.
Fair enough, but I challenge you to find a boss fight in Dark Souls 1 that looks as majestic as the Dancer Boreal Valley does in Dark Souls 3.
I can't stop looking at Dark Souls stuff, like, because that's the thing is I'll play Dark Souls 3 and I really enjoy Dark Souls 3, but if I'm just like bored on YouTube and I start watching stuff, it's probably going to be DS1 related, not DS3.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, major announcement this Wednesday, August 24th. That's 2 days from tonight if you're watching us live. Like I said, it has to be DLC. I can't see it being anything else. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's very.
It's already on all the consoles. They're not going to announce a Dark Souls 4 just randomly on August 24th. That's more of a conference kind of thing. They might have like some Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 package. That's the only other thing I can think of. It's like the Dark Souls trilogy in one disc. But that seems like you wouldn't be teasing it this way either.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you're a Dark Souls fan, tune in Wednesday to all of your social media sites. You'll find out very quickly about it. David.
Yes.
Remember PT?
Yes. I also remember Silent Hills and the tragedy that befalled that game. You remember after PT and after Silent Hills, there was that team that showed up on Kickstarter to try and make kind of like a spiritual successor to a game that was never released. What the hell was that called again?
That game was called Allison Road, and unfortunately it was canceled. They've had a publisher deal with Team 17. There's the guys who did Worms, and it fell through. We don't know what happened.
That's the weirdest publisher deal I've ever heard of.
We don't know exactly what happened. It was shaping up to look pretty cool, but it died with very little fanfare. Well, Allison Road is now back. This is from the official Facebook page of Allison Road. Let me see if I can't bring it up here. We're back. It's been a while. Einstein once famously said, I mean, this post kind of gets a little ranty if you go through it. There's also an IGN link to the news story itself. Let me just sum up by saying that they are now back. The creator, Christian Kessler, has created his own publishing company called Far From Home that he has teamed up with his wife to create this game with, and they are self-publishing it. No details in either the Facebook post or the IGN article down there tell why the Team 17 deal fell through, and it's very unlikely that we will ever find out. However, I am excited to see this game is back. The early alpha footage looked really goddamn cool. While I doubt it's going to fill the Silent Hill's hole in my heart, it is definitely nice to see more horror games on the market.
It looks to be a proper spook fest. I don't know.
I don't even know what you're talking about. You hit the sauce a little too close to the show, I think.
No, we're fine. We're good.
No, are we?
Totally fine.
Because let me tell you something that's not good.
Oh, what's that?
So I love Deus Ex. I love the
franchise. Dude, you're a huge Deus Ex guy. He talks about it all the time.
I even liked Invisible War. It admittedly, rightfully gets shit on a lot, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as people say it is. But
all right. You're entitled to your own opinion.
Deus Ex is doing something with the new game that comes out tonight if you have a console, or fucking tomorrow if you have a PC, because Square Enix hates PC owners, and I'll get into that when we get to new releases.
We keep getting shit on.
But Deus Ex is doing something that I cannot stand, and they're pulling a Dead Space 3 essentially, where you can buy in-game money and in-game upgrades and experience for the single-player game. One use, from what I understand, items. Kind of like how Dead Space 3 had those microtransactions in there.
No, dude, microtransactions.
Microtransactions in there?
That's a staple of the show. That's how we do that.
And fuck me if this is not just tasteless.
Oh, it's a little harsh.
Now, I'm not going to get into the microtransaction rant right now, because that's going to be later in the show. But it's just disappointing to see Deus Ex get this treatment. It's getting rave reviews up and down the board, and I have no doubt it's going to be a good game. Though, from what I hear, and there's no spoilers here, but if you're kind of spoiler-phobic, you might want to turn away for a little bit. I hear it does just kind of end, and it definitely feels like this game has been carved up into chunks to make it into a trilogy instead of one coherent game. That is a shame, and this goes along with what Square Enix philosophy has been lately, to
episodic, make more money.
Episodic, as well as cramming stuff full of microtransactions, and I hate seeing this. And we'll
at
talk
least
about
it doesn't have a $270 collector's edition and then just announce a season pass that you don't get access to even after paying for the full collector's edition.
Yeah, Square Enix is really fucking up on this end. I don't like it.
the whole making video games end.
Yeah,
the whole thing they do as a company.
I don't like it, and we'll get into more details as to why I don't like it during our topic of the week. But before we get into topic of the week, David.
Yo.
What can we play right now?
Right now? Well, there's a couple things. Although a lot of these are technically releasing tomorrow because this show airs on a Monday. But if you're watching this later,
week, David?
There you go. Thank you. So coming out this week, a game that a bunch of people will buy, but probably none of the people watching this show. Madden NFL 17 hits for PS4, PS3, Xbox One, and Xbox 360.
Fun fact, it's like one of the few 360 games still coming out. It's like one of 3.
That's true. To be fair, though, the sports games are traditionally the longest lasting games on previous console generations.
Well, they're also super cheap to port, I would imagine.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the crazy thing is you can get PS2 copies of like NFL. I want to say like 2009 or something, like way later than you'd assume. It's just kind of how the whole thing works. Also coming out this week, your upcoming favorite game, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, provided the DLC doesn't piss you off too much. It's
not the DLC that's the problem for me. It's the fucking in-game
microtransactions.
Yeah, it's the in-game. It's the pay-to-win shit, and we'll get more into that later.
Get there.
Second rant about Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. I fucking hate that the console owners, the PS4 and Xbox One, get it tonight at midnight. But if you bought it on Steam fuck you. You don't get it until 9 a.m. tomorrow. I don't understand that logic. Because you can fucking release a game, and I was looking forward to playing it the moment the show was going to end. But no, Square Enix had to fucking release it at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
They had the intern that forgot to click the button that put it on Steam. That's a real thing that happens sometimes.
It's a stupid thing you get upset over, but god damn it, I'm going to get upset over it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I had to wait 3 whole days for No Man's Sky. You can deal with a 12-hour window. Also coming out this week, Worms WMD. So it's kind of funny with Team 17 and the discussion about how they had a falling out with the Allison Road team. But that doesn't mean they're done making Worms games. And if you've never played a Worms game, you should play Worms Armageddon because it's going to be cheaper than Worms at WMD. And I'm guaranteeing it's almost the exact same game.
Yeah.
But Worms is fun. It's a franchise that was big in the 90s. And you basically play as a whole bunch of worms, murder another worms. That's the gist.
It's kind of it's turn-based.
Worm murder. Yeah, we already figured this out. Also coming out.
Go look it up.
Something I'm more excited about: the King of Fighters 14 comes out on PS4 this week. Unfortunately, that's just PS4, so I'm still out of luck. So
yeah, you're fucked until you buy one.
But I will be playing it on Friday regardless, so I will let you know how I enjoy that game next week.
Okay.
King of Fighters is my fighting game jam, and this is back to the 3D mode. I think last time it happened was Maximum Impact back on PS2. So
and
it's
you
been a
live
while.
in Cough Country, so
yeah, I'm all up in Cough Country. So let's do this. Well, it'll be exciting. We also have coming out potentially Abduction for PC.
That's abduction, not adduction.
Abduction.
Yes.
And this, if you're not familiar with the team that created Myst and Riven, this is their next adventure game.
Yeah,
this
is
quite while since they've had anything.
I think that dev team was Cyan Interactive, ran by the Miller brothers. This is essentially a Myst spiritual successor. It looked really cool. If you were a fan of Myst and Riven and Exile and all the other Myst games that came out, this is going to be right up your alley. I didn't know it was coming out this week, so I'm kind of excited. I'm going to pick this up and play it through with the wife. It looks really goddamn cool if you like those old 90s style adventure games like, well, Myst or Waxworks or...
Riven?
Shit, they're forgetting what other ones there were.
There's a lot of adventure games. Anyway, it looks pretty good if you are the adventure point-and-click, solving puzzle kind of guy. But if you're not, but still kind of are, you could play Inside on PS4.
No.
Or you could not.
Inside is Playdead's follow-up to Limbo. Plays a lot like Limbo, however, it is far more obtuse than Limbo. Obtuse isn't the right word.
Acute. What are we talking about?
Abstract than Limbo, which is saying something. It did not have as nearly as entertaining puzzle mechanics as Limbo did, and honestly, it was just a bunch of weird random shit thrown together in an attempt to make it look cool. I've gone on my Inside rant before. I still will say it is the doughiest game of 2016, which will make perfect sense when you finally get to the end.
That's fair. Also coming out, I believe, not tomorrow, but at the end of this week for console owners, Assetto Corsa, which if you've never heard of, is a pretty hardcore racing game on Steam. A lot of the PC community really likes this game. It looks pretty damn good, and this was really the racing game to go to before Project Cars came out. And for a lot of people, it still is. But it is a hardcore simulation racing game, and it is coming out for PS4 and Xbox this week. But if you're not into sim play and you don't own a racing wheel, honestly, I wouldn't bother.
So this is like hardcore audiences only.
Yeah, if you're planning on playing this game with just a regular controller and a joystick, you're probably not going to have that good a time. You're better off just waiting for Forza. But if you want a bomb-ass racing sim on your Xbox or PS4, I would take a look.
All right. I believe that wraps up for new releases, which of course means it's time for the GamePoints topic of the week. And this topic of the week is the return of Microtransactions.
Damn it. They never leave us alone. Damn Michael.
So Deus Ex is pulling Dead Space 3, like I said earlier, and they're selling digital items in a single-player game. GamePoints is going to ask, are microtransactions, when voluntary, harmful? Does this influence the design of the game, making it artificially harder or on purpose to encourage people to buy these extra items? What about games like Overwatch, which has microtransactions, yet seems to get a pass? So let's address this first question first.
So
Are
let's
microtransactions, when they're completely voluntary, harmful?
as a isolated question, if you're just asking me that, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
But it does come with a caveat because it definitely depends on the game. Because there are several games, and this is part of that whole pay to win phenomenon that happened, where there's microtransactions in the game that you can pay for that will make you just better than people that didn't bother to pay for the game. And I don't just mean a little ramp where it'll jump you up in the progression quicker so that you can keep up with people that maybe have more time to play, but when it actually just makes you on another level that they cannot attain by playing the game normally. That is when it can be harmful.
Are you fine with them then in single player games like Dead Space 3 or Deus Ex?
To me,
because those are pay to win. Let's be completely honest here. You're paying to level up.
you are paying to level up, but by doing that, you're making the game easier for yourself. So for me, I consider this paying for an easier difficulty. To me, this is a lot like when a racing game comes out and it has a microtransaction in the game to unlock all the cars or unlock all the tracks. Stuff that you can get just by playing the fucking game, but some people don't want to, or they don't have to, or they just want to see the coolest gun. And since it's just based on a single person's experience, if you want to fuck up your game and pay for the craziest gun in the whole world in the very first level so that none of the game is even a little bit of a challenge, that's on you. Go to town. I don't have to, and I can still enjoy the game the way I want to.
So you don't see anything harmful with it to the gaming industry? Because keep in mind, the question wasn't whether we like it or not. I think we both don't like that kind of addition to any game.
I would have no reason to do it.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Is it harmful to the health of the game?
Again, I almost would say it's a case-by-case basis. I would have a hard time giving you a firm yes or no if it's harmful to the entire industry. Because there are times where it does not bother me, but there are times where, yeah, it can be discouraging.
Now, the reason why I asked that, and we touched on it with the second question, is it's not like they added this in here. It's not like a developer or publisher added this in here and went, oh, it's completely optional and we don't care if you buy it or not. No, they want you to buy that shit. They wouldn't have put it in otherwise. Does even having its presence mean that the game's appearance is different for you because it gives the appearance of... I'm wording this very, very poorly, and I apologize. What I'm trying to get at is, if it's in there, they want you to buy it. If they want you to buy it, they would take other steps.
That means they're going to be more heavy-handed. You know what? Actually, this makes me think of something that we talked about too much when it happened. But if you think back to... What the hell game was it? I almost want to say it was Witcher 3. Where you can be running around and this dude runs up to give you a quest. And you're like, okay, cool, I'll do that quest for you. And when you try and complete it, it's a fucking DLC quest.
Oh, shit.
So when you talk to the NPC in order to start this quest, it's like, okay, cool, we're going to take you to the store and you're going to spend $14. It's like, what the shit? Thanks for completely ruining my immersion game. That was swell of you.
What game was that?
I don't remember what that was, but I can see where you're going with this. There are times where people will put transactions in a game and they will design the game around them to try and force you to buy it. So I could see this happening where Deus Ex, you're running through an area and then you're damaged for some reason. You have an augment go down. All of a sudden you can't use your left arm, which is what the arm you use for hacking or whatever the fuck. And you're like, okay, you got to do this quest and do this and do this and do this and do this. And then it has a walkthrough, an actual like in-game tutorial to get you to this checkpoint thing where you access a terminal where you can buy the quick fix.
Not only that, but I'm even talking on a more simplistic mechanical level. Like, would the difficulty of the game be increased artificially to kind of whittle away at your patience to make you buy it? And it might not even have been, but just the appearance of having this shit in there makes me think that could be the case at times. And if it even has the appearance of being that being the case, it shouldn't even exist.
As an aside, can we talk about the fact that the existence of microtransactions are making games more like arcade games, which were built to have you feed quarters into the machine.
They were
and yet
built
at the time,
artificially difficult with bad controllers in some cases for you to pump quarters into it.
and yet at the time we didn't bitch about those. And a lot of people will look back on the arcade time very fondly and say that some of those were some of the greatest games of all time.
Well, we've grown up.
So, with the influence of an artificial difficulty spike due to microtransactions, could you then, as a gamer, take it upon yourself to defeat the game as designed without doing it to get yourself that higher sense of satisfaction of beating a more difficult game?
Well, a couple things with that. One, arcade games didn't cost $60 up front.
Yeah.
Two, if you're making the game artificially difficult in a way to make me buy your goods to get past that, what does that add to the gameplay? Nothing. It just is designed to frustrate the fuck out of me, because to take the shortcut to get around being annoyed, because that is what that is designed to do. I had another point I was going to make and I forgot it.
And 3, the other thing he was going to say.
Yeah, 3, the other thing I was going to say.
Nailed it.
Now, we have games like Overwatch, however, which are, let's face it, chock full of microtransactions, just hidden very, very well. The one item you get from playing that game can be bought with cash. Why does that get a pass? Because I don't think either one of us has a problem with that. Why does that get a pass?
You know what's funny? Is if you bring up games or if you bring up Overwatch specifically, I'm aware of the fact that you can pay money for things in Overwatch. And even though I have dozens and dozens of hours in that game, I honestly could not tell you how to do it. I could not walk you through the process of paying money for anything in that game because it's not obtrusive. You have to go hunting to find out where you need to spend money on that game.
There's also something to be said.
I've never been in my after game screen and it says, click on this so you can buy all this bullshit. It's, no, you have to go in here and go in here and go in here and go to the store and then you buy stuff. It's much less obtrusive and the game isn't really built around it. Now, all the items in Overwatch are more for you to show off with. They're not something that's going to increase your skill level. They're not something that's going to increase your KDR, your win rate, or anything else. It's, I like this hero, and I'm going to pay money to have this cool skin or this cool...
It's all cosmetic.
Yeah, it's all cosmetic. It's all things that affect the game, but just for you.
But you did pay $60 up front to get that game. They've already taken your $60 from you.
But
that not enough?
That game has no artificial difficulty spike based on its microtransactions.
But that is the one reward you get from playing that game that you can just buy flat out. Like, I'm in agreement with you. I think if it's cosmetic, who the fuck cares? I'm trying to play devil's advocate on this specific question.
Well, no, there's also games where you'll have cosmetic fixes where it seems completely ridiculous. Because at least with Overwatch, if you put enough time and effort into it, like I have bought 2 legendary skins just with gold earned over straight playtime. I'm level, 60, 70? I'm not that high, but I've purchased at least a couple of the legendary skins just with in-game gold gained by playing the game. But you have games like, I'm going to bring up Smite, for example, where you can buy hero skins in that game. It's a third-person MOBA game if you've never played it. But the pricing scheme for it puts the skins you can buy so far out of your price range as an average player that you're basically required to pay money for it. In addition, they have extra skins that are locked, not just as pay-only skins, but as pay-only in a chest that has between 6 and 60 drops. Which potentially means that if you're spending $4 a chest times 60, you're spending a ridiculous amount of money to get the one item that you want.
Well, that's something else entirely different. That's fucking gambling at that point, which Overwatch does, though, to be fair. But you don't, if you buy a chest to get these skins... Like, for example, you say that some skins were locked behind that specific paywall, right? You had to pay real more money. What about the Summer Olympic skins from Overwatch? You can't buy those with gold. They only come in chests.
Which you can earn. I'm talking about things that are literally only available by paying money.
Okay, so you can't even play the base game and have a chance of
Cannot
getting this.
you cannot earn them in any way, shape, or form.
So in your opinion, you feel that as long as it is cosmetic only, and there is a way to unlock that skin naturally by playing through the game, regardless of how long it takes, it is an acceptable form of microtransaction.
I don't know if regardless how long it takes is fair, because some things it might take 20, 30 hours. Some things might take 200 to
So
400
the grind per reward ratio matters.
What the shit was it? The Kool-Aid Super Nintendo argument. If we're going all the way to that, that's over the line. That's where it's a little too ridiculous.
I don't even know what the Kool-Aid Super Nintendo argument is.
Kool-Aid had a contest in the 90s to win a Super Nintendo. In order to collect enough Kool-Aid to get the proper number of points to buy a Super Nintendo, assuming you were drinking, I don't remember the number, but it's fucking absurd, like 30 packs of Kool-Aid a day, you would have been able to buy the Super Nintendo, I think, 2 years ago. No joke, because you get 3 points a packet, and it was like 900,000 points. Or something just ungodly absurd. But that's the pricing scheme that you're looking at. When you have things that are completely beyond the realm of credibility or just sense making in general, that's when you can have an issue with it. But if it's something that's potentially possible through regular gameplay, through enjoying the game that you're playing, then I have less of an issue with it. I'm not going to say I have no issue with it, because, I mean, nobody really loves to pay money for things, and some things are a pain in the ass to get.
So you're fine with there being a grind to reward ratio as long as that ratio is relatively on the low end. So, for example, a box every hour like Overwatch seems to do for me. You're fine with that kind of a ratio, even if you paid $60 up front with it.
As long as the game is fun and I continue playing the game for its own merit, I do not mind the fact that I will occasionally get additional features from the game.
Cosmetic only, or extra things as well? Like,
Probably.
what if Overwatch released experience boosters?
If I don't give a shit about my level in Overwatch. That means literally nothing to me. Now, if they locked the champions behind a paywall and I had to play over and over and over and over and over to unlock the base characters in Overwatch, then we'd be having a different discussion.
I agree. That's the difference. I paid $60 up front. I don't want to be paying for extra characters or anything like that. That will split the community if I don't.
If you're looking at a free-to-play game like League of Legends,
or
which is a roster
Heroes of the Storm, while we're talking about Blizzard games.
Yeah, if you're looking at a roster of characters that you're able to play for free all the time as soon as you install the client, and you can earn in-game credits in order to buy additional characters or skins or whatever else you want, there is kind of that scale where there are some games that do it pretty well, and I consider League of Legends a year and a half ago, before the Chroma skins came out, to be a good example of a game that I could put time into and earn things in a reasonable rate.
You didn't see League of Legends microtransactions as predatory at all? Because let's face it, a new hero comes out, you're going to have to buy that hero to be competitive.
No.
You don't see it as kind of de facto forcing you to buy that to stay actually able to play the game?
No, don't give a shit.
All right.
I'm sure there's people that see it that way, but I was never ridiculously competitive.
Like, I'm absolutely just trying to cover every side of the argument on this.
Yeah, well, but the other thing is that with that game, you had to play a lot of it, so you could also have the right runes and masteries and learn how to play the character. So it was more about the amount of time you had in someone. So if someone came out and you're playing them on the first or second day, everyone's playing that fucking character, and chances are no one's great with them, and no one really has the proper setups for them. So if you're trying to be highly competitive, I doubt anyone's really going to see that person played for a while anyway, unless they come out the gate and they're ridiculously overpowered, which did happen sometimes, although it just depended on the character. Some people came out useless, some people came out ridiculously fucking insane. But it's hit or miss, and that's more of a balance issue and less of a they would purposely bring people out that were ridiculously overpowered. At least in my experience, but I stopped playing the game a while ago.
Okay. I think my overall stance is, and I'm sure you can poke holes in this logic if you were to think about it enough, but my gut stance is, if it's cosmetic, I just don't fucking care. And I know some people do care. I've seen arguments made that even if it's cosmetic, it does affect gameplay in the end, because while the skins might be cosmetic, the game is going to be built around the idea of making you pay to get this shit. So it's actually going to somehow, even if minutely, affect gameplay in some way, shape, or form. I can understand that argument. Jim Sterling actually has a very good video about microtransactions. He's notoriously against all of them, period, regardless if they're here or not. My stance is, if they're cosmetic, I don't care, even if it's in a single-player DLC. What I cannot stand is anything that boosts your character in any way, shape, or form, which is why I'm so fucking disappointed in this Deus Ex transaction.
Okay.
We can buy practice
Well,
kits.
let's just take a quick second to look at that really fast.
Okay.
So you are outrageously mad about the fact that Deus Ex has put single player only microtransactions in the game that will boost your character.
Yes, because I feel...
No, wait, no, hold on.
Okay, I'll let you make your point first.
Yes or no? Are you buying the new Deus Ex regardless?
Yes. I know. Put your money where your mouth is. Right. Because it's not a big enough...
This will not affect your gameplay. You're still going to play it. If the microtransactions are completely in your face, you're going to get pissed at it, and we're going to talk about it next week. But if they're not, you're going to continue to play the game and enjoy it and not give a shit.
This perfectly ties into the point that I was trying to make earlier. No, I'm going to play the game because it's not... These debates aren't necessarily binary. It's not a yes, I will buy, no, I won't buy discussion. There are things where it's like, nah, I kind of wish it didn't have that, and I wish it didn't have this. Now, when you say it doesn't affect my gameplay, however, we don't know that. It could. They could have deliberately changed the difficulty of the game they had originally designed in order to try to convince you to buy these microtransactions. That does affect my gameplay, even if I don't spend a single dime. Now, that might not be the case. They might not have changed anything, but the fact that I can think of that, the fact that that idea, that cloud hangs around these booster DLCs is reason enough not to even include it.
All right. That's fair. So tune in next week for Steven Reviews Deus Ex featuring microtransactions.
I just want to once again stress, though, so many people are very quick to go, well, fuck it, it has this, I'm not going to buy it. No, and other people are like, other
fuck
people...
Metal Gear Survive, it has zombies, I'm not going to buy it.
And the opposing side is so quick to go, well, if you don't like it, don't fucking buy it. Listen, whether to buy something or not is not a yes or no decision based on one fucking item. Now, I get that in America specifically, we're a nation of one-topic voters. We'll vote for whoever ass candidate pushes one topic as long as it agrees with us and fuck everything else. But honestly, I don't buy my games like that. I don't look at a game and go, okay, it has this, it has this, it has this. Nope, fuck that, I hate that, I'm not going to buy that game. No, if the overall package is appealing to me, I am going to buy it. It is like going to a fancy restaurant and it is the most amazing meal of your life, but it has this fucking piece of broccoli on the side, so that means fuck this meal. I don't care for it anymore. Why? So you can go, no, fuck this. This is gross. I don't want it on my meal. I don't want this in my game. And still buy the game and enjoy it. And I hate this mentality of all or nothing crap that we've reduced ourselves down to in the gaming community over the past 2 years.
Oh, microtransactions. The only topic that has occurred on GamePoints more than Batman Arkham Knight.
Speaking of...
No. We cannot talk about WB this fucking night because
it's not WB. It is Batman related, though. Apparently, the PC version of Batman, Telltale's Batman, has major performance issues.
Damn it.
But anyways, that is a topic that we will revisit another time. I believe that wraps it up for today. This has been GamePoints. If you were watching us live, thank you for joining in the chat, participating. We do try to broadcast every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. However, that's going to be unlikely 2 weeks from now because we will be at PAX. Expect that show Tuesday, more than likely.
Although expect our after PAX show to be fucking nominal.
Unlikely.
Phenomenal. Best show you've ever seen, produced by these two guys.
Unlikely. It will be the best show ever seen in the first week of September of 2016. How about that? That we've ever done.
Wow. Thanks for just busting all of my chops. You're the worst.
But yeah, you can tune in to us normally every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If we are at Twitch TV/GamePoints, if we are delayed for some reason or can't broadcast, be sure to check out our Facebook page. Type in GamePoints Podcast, we pop right up. If you missed our shows and missed our live broadcast, you can watch us on YouTube. Just type in GamePoints, that's one word, space PC. We should pop right up on the top, search there. All the old shows are on there, as long as I didn't have any technical problems getting them on there. Like last week, it was just completely fucked, so you don't see last week's show on there. But I do try to get them on there. If you like the show, you can subscribe to that. We appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at GamePoints PC. If you like us individually, I'm Stephen Brown. You can follow me at CapitalistPig21. You can follow David over there at _Satori. He doesn't really check Twitter all that much, though. But yeah, thanks for watching the show. Give us a follow if you like it, and catch us next week. But until then, we are out of here.